All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Good evening to all of you. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you all had a great weekend. Welcome. Today, we are going to be having a very interesting conversation. I will be doing a post analysis on the outing of the leader of our War of Independence, Dr. Ayaba, and his interaction in the program Face the Leader with Sessekou, no, with Sessekou Shea Christmas, Dr. Christmas Ebini. So they had a great outing yesterday, and it's important that we do a post analysis to give perspective, to share insights, to share opinion, and to point out some psychological tricks and embedded intentions. All right, so this will be very interactive. This will be very profound. This will be an eye opener to most of you. We'll be doing a lot of deeper psychological analysis on how people communicate and what's the intention of their communication. So there will be a lot that everybody will be will benefit from this outing today. So thank you all for joining us. This will be very interesting. All right. All right. So we've been informed that we are now currently live on ACN TV. So we're very delighted. Let's roll. Again, once more, good evening to all of you. For all our people on in the territory of Ambazonia on Ground Zero, good evening to all Ambazonians across the continent of North America. It's afternoon. Good afternoon to you all, and to all Ambazonians in the continent of Europe. Good evening to you all. To our people the uh, across the Caribbeans and in South America or Latin America. Good afternoon to you all. To all Ambazonians in the Persian Gulf. I think it's already midnight over there. Good evening to you all. And to those Ambazonians in places like China, Hong Kong, the Philippines, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, India, Pakistan. All right. It's a good night to you all. I think it's already Tuesday over there. So good morning to you all. Welcome, my fellow Ambazonians. I am your press secretary in the Executive Office of Governing Council of Ambazonia. I'm the spokesperson that represents the office of the leader. So, welcome to you all. This evening, we'll be taking a look at a deeper post analysis between of the interaction that took place between yesterday, the leader of our War of Independence, and Shea Sessekou, Dr. Christmas Ebini. It was a very interesting outing. Most of you participated, you watched, you made comments. So today, collectively, we're going to be looking at what exactly took place yesterday. What was the significance of it? What was the benefit of it? What were some of the embedded intentions, some of the embedded communications that we all need to know? All right. For everything, there's always an intention, there's always a purpose. And so, as your press secretary, we have to bring this information out to our people, to educate our people so that we all can have a common focus for one primary outcome, that which our people are asking for, that which they are fighting for. So, good evening to you all, and once again, welcome. Let's get started. Yesterday was the first time that the leader of our War of Independence, Dr. Ayaba, actually he created a program called Face the Leader. The program Face the Leader, it's an interactive experience for any Ambazonian, an Ambazonian or non-Ambazonian, who wants to have a direct interaction online, live with the leader, no matter how controversial the topics are, no matter how um, unpopular the conversation will be, the leader is ready at any moment to be hosted by an Ambazonian, whether you're an Ambazonian who you believe in the independence of Ambazonia, you'll be able to do that. Whether you're an Ambazonian that you don't believe in the independence of Ambazonia, you also have the chance to have a one-on-one interaction with the leader live on TV, unscripted, all right, open, so that you can have asked whatever question. You can ask question, you can challenge the leader, you can oppose the leader, you can share your views, you can share your resentment, you can share your frustration, whatever it is. He's open to serve the Ambazonian people with the openness, responsibility to take ownership of the leadership of the people to answer their most difficult questions or their most ridiculous questions. So, yesterday was the first experience with a veteran, a statesman, Sessekou, She, Dr. Christmas Ebini. First of all, you have to call his name by those orders. If not, you get in trouble. All right? If you don't call all his names, you don't call all his titles, you get in trouble. So it was a very interesting experience because I've been in trouble because I didn't give him all the titles. So what we need to understand is a veteran statesman, a patriot, a father, has been around for quite a long time with a lot of experiences. So he's seen the history of the history and the evolution of the Ambazonian resistance. It's been around for quite a long time. So there is a lot that he had to say. There is a lot he has to offer. There is a lot that he can offer our people. Oh, excuse me. I think they said we are having some interruptions. I'm sure it's only on Facebook. All right, so we're good. So he has a lot to say. And so he wanted to have this interaction with the leader. So they accepted, they put on their own time, they put on their own terms. There were no conditions, there were no barrier. Ask whatever you want. So I think the first thing we all observed was that the interaction was very civil. They started off in a very friendly manner. It was very relaxed. I think that's the first time most Ambazonians have actually seen their leader in such a more relaxed state. We're getting complaints again from the people that are streaming on ACN that the connection is not stable. Please let us know if the connection is stable or it's not. Uh-oh. Hold on. See if something is wrong. Hang on, guys. Let's talk to the studio. One moment. Is everything okay? What's wrong with Facebook? All right. We're just being in touch with the studio. All right. So it was the first time that the Ambazonian people have seen the leader in such a more relaxed state. Even though some of the topics were very intense and very controversial, but both leaders were very relaxed. The leader smiled. Most Ambazonians have never seen him in such a smiling so much. People actually picked on that and they commented that, wow, It's fun. It's good to see the leader in such a more relaxed state, because usually what he does is very intense. So he's usually a little bit hyped up, right? So he was very relaxed yesterday. I think we don't know what's going on, but I think there is something happening on Facebook. We don't know, but we're gonna focus here on YouTube. So the people on Facebook, please join us on YouTube if Facebook is not working out for you guys. YouTube is our new home. So we're going to ride on. And so the leader was very relaxed yesterday. He smiled a lot. And so the conversation started off in a more relaxed, friendly, kind of a camaraderie atmosphere. It was great. It was great to see the leader having such an interaction, but being so relaxed. And I actually enjoyed it as also. So, but something interesting happened, and that was Sessekou Christmas Ebini wanted to ask the leader some very controversial questions. First of all, let me honor the state man for his positive intentions to have this honest, unfiltered, unscripted conversation with the leader. It takes a lot. You have to have a love for country, a love for the nation, a love for the people to be able to have such an honest conversation in the public. So I just wanted to honor Pastor Sessekou uh, for his caring and the respect and the honor he has for the Ambazonian people to put out such an event yesterday. I just want to honor him. Some of the topics were very controversial. Some were meant to maybe clarify issues. Some were meant to maybe give people a sense of understanding from the leader's perspective. And so it was very interesting. But what was most shocking was the topic about the Ambazonia Defense Forces. I think the first thing we all observed was he kept referencing Dr. Ayaba as your ADF. That was the first thing. You are ADF. And kept referring to him as the president of the ADF, the leader of the ADF. It was deliberate. It was not something he made up. It was not something he just wanted to say to please anybody. These were deliberate, intentional, purposeful, embedded commands. It was deliberate because there is an inherent assumption. The assumption is Dr. Ayaba is only interested or only has a military or a defense group that he's leading. He just have the Ambazonia Defense Forces that he's leading. And so they see him in that light. They assume him in that light. They looked at him from that perspective. That he just has the ADF. And so he's just a leader of a defense structure. That is one of the many defense groups fighting for the liberation of Ambazonia. Dr. Sessekou Ebini knows quite well that Dr. Ayaba is the president of the governing council of Ambazonia. He knows this. He knows this. He knows that the Ambazonia Defense Forces is the arm wing of Ambazonia Governing Council. He knows this. But in order to minimize the significance and the importance And the critical role Dr. Ayaba plays in Ambazonia liberation, they use those terms in order to minimize him, in order to undermine him. It's what we call embedded commands. Those are belief systems, strategies, and tactics to undermine his leadership. So that's why the reference that he's the leader of the ADF, or you are ADF, that's where that belief came from. It's something that a certain segment of our population that do not want to respect and recognize the leadership of Dr. Ayaba as the leading movement, as a president of the leading movement for the liberation of Ambazonia. The reason is because they see Dr. Ayaba as someone who wants to liberate and then others will govern. All right? They see Dr. Ayaba as someone who's only interested to liberate, and others that call themselves a government will govern. That is the assumption. And that's why they use those strategies in order to minimize him in public. Because of the entitlement. There is an entitlement mentality. There is a culture of entitlement to power. That is the assumption. So, that was not the only thing. So when Dr. Ayaba helped him to gain clarity that no, the ADF is our defense structure. And then he said, so you have the ADF and then you are the president of Governing Council of Ambazonia. Dr. Ayaba helped him to gain clarity on those things. Dr. Ayaba is the president of Governing Council of Ambazonia. Governing Council of Ambazonia, or AGOVC, is the leading movement championing and leading the liberation of Ambazonia. It has a defense structure called the Ambazonia Defense Forces, or ADF. It is the most powerful group, the most equipped group, the group with the most professionally trained forces, the most organized group with a total command and control structure. It controls more than 80% of all the forces on the ground. And it's provided more than 80% of all the weapons on the ground. It is the most effective defense structure on the ground. Sessekou Ebini knows this. They don't just want to recognize it in public. Because by recognizing it in public, the so-called government, the entitlement to power that they have created will not exist anymore. And that's why they try to undermine the leadership of Dr. Ayaba. Next, he came up with about, hey, so we've heard that, we've seen soldiers, they have weapons, they have sophisticated weapons, they have uniforms, they have boots. Are these really your forces? Are these forces in Ambazonia? Because we've heard. You heard from whom? You heard from Chris Ano that those weapons were provided by La République du Cameroon. And then he asked a funny question. How did you get all that money? You did not benefit from my trip to Boya. All it's saying is, our government did not give you the money. All right? That's all he's saying. Our government, you did not benefit from my trip to Boya, which is a program their government. All right? Launched in in the early part of 2018 and 2019, and then it died the early part of 2020. He said, you did not benefit from my trip to Boya. So where did you get all that money? A funny question. Where was Pa Christmas Ebini? Where was he? Where has he been since October 2018? When Dr. Ayaba came out and introduced the concept of the stabilization forces to the Ambazonian people. That was in October 2021. I'm sorry, October 2020. That's about 7 months ago. Came out, explained the whole purpose to the Ambazonian people, its importance, its significance, and what it intends to accomplish on the ground. The leader came out, mobilized Ambazonians, inspired Ambazonians, educated Ambazonians, and launched a series of fundraising events. I was out on a single daily basis. Leaders of Governing Council of Ambazonia were out on a single daily basis, raising money, mobilizing Ambazonians. The leader went from community to community to community to community across the globe, mobilizing, selling this project, getting Ambazonians to be involved. So Pa Christmas Ebini didn't see any of this. No, he saw it. He knew it. He knew what was going on social media. They don't just believe that it's possible that someone can have a vision, someone can create a project that makes sense to the people, and the people are willing to invest in that project. That is what he couldn't believe. That's what they don't believe. They don't believe that ideas, meaningful ideas, valuable ideas will attract people that will want to participate and that will want to fund it because it advances their aspirations and their hopes. That's what they don't get. And that's why it's difficult for them to come to the realization that Ambazonians, after being deceived and manipulated and their money stolen and embezzled, they can trust what is honest. They can trust what's real. They can trust what's truthful. They can trust structures that have accountability and transparency. We were able to raise the money. We bought the guns. Some were published, like what happened on January 1. A couple of M magazines and AKs were published by Grandpa of Bali as ADF weapons. The Ambazonian people saw that. The donors saw it. So we were able to raise this money. Materials were procured and delivered to the general. The general was busy training forces with expert advice, with a manuscript, with a manual of what type of training they should receive. Experts were sent to the ground to help to train the specialized forces. So no wonder Pa Christmas Ebini was surprised to see professionally trained soldiers, well equipped, well organized, on the ground. because the group they have pledged their allegiance to can do it. Don't have the expertise, don't have the leadership. So because where their allegiance to, where they pledge their allegiance to, those people can deliver such results. So they assume no other group can do it. No. Just because some can do it doesn't mean others cannot. Just because some don't have the interest, the connections, the guts, the purpose, the character to do it doesn't mean others cannot. Just because others do not have the transparency and the accountability to deliver results based on public promises doesn't mean others cannot. So when Pastor Sessekou Ebini was shocked to see forces on the ground in such capacity. Let me see if I can pull up the video for you guys. I think this is the video.
19 February 2021, this are part of them. One two forces and this today the 19 February 2021. Now this channel and command two forces and this under the canopy of the Supreme General of the AGF General. Big number, it not be easy when I got you want get power. Today the day that they graduate the early commando force, they are command to. They are command of the Ambazonia.
This is what shocked him. We are capable with the right leadership. We can deliver results beyond what we have done. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, 10 times more than what we've done in the past. We can do it. Our people were just manipulated in the past, deceived in the past, lied to in the past. That's why we've not advanced as much as we want. The past 7 months have been a total game changer for the Ambazonian people in terms of the kinds of the defense structures that we've been able to put on the ground, to be able to project power and give confidence to the population and let the international community know this is not a blinking generation. So, Pa Christmas has been a please. It takes hard work. We were out on a single daily basis for 3 months straight. We were visiting communities on a daily basis. On a weekly basis, the leader was speaking to one community or the other, mobilizing and raising funds. And every single dollar was transmitted to the point of purchase. And through our processes and systems and structures, every single material was delivered to the general. Uniforms were bought. Boots were bought. Everything needed was bought to project Ambazonia. That's leadership. So I can empathize with Pa Christmas Ebini for his ignorance. The ignorance of who we are as a people. The ignorance of what we deserve and what our people are capable of doing for themselves. What we are capable of achieving when we commit ourselves to what works. When we commit ourselves to a strategic leadership. When we commit ourselves to doing the hard work, not the politics. Not the politics of liberation. Not words without action. Not I want freedom, but there's no willingness to sacrifice. That's what the politicians have offered the Ambazonian people since 1961. Dr. Ayaba has given the Ambazonian people a different kind of leadership. If you want freedom, you must be ready to die for it. If you want freedom, you must be able to commit your life to it. If you want freedom, you must be able to be ready to sacrifice for it, to invest into it. You must be ready to pay the price of freedom. Just like if you want success, you must be ready to work hard, to study, to change, to grow, to transform, and to work harder than anyone else until you get what you want. He brought a new level of leadership, not talk, hard work, strategy, vision, a roadmap, a process to follow to attain it. Not just the concept of independence or the restoration of it, but a specific roadmap, a specific step-by-step action plan that the people can take to get what they want. This is that generation. So far, I understand the conspiracy theories that are meant to confuse our people, to cause them to cast doubts, and to be fearful so that they don't commit, so that they are manipulated, so that they are deceived. So we understand, Pa. And that's why I'm having this conversation. In order to decode the embedded language, the embedded psychological intentions of these statements, we can. This is who we are. This is Ambazonia.
This Savito na Siam, and I come to forces in this Savisiam. Today, 19 February 2021, and I come to forces in this for their graduation. It'll be easy.
The graduating batch of the elite first. Next on the agenda,
19 February 2021.
Offering by the graduating class.
Today, the 19 February 2021.
The supervising the graduating batch for their oath swearing ceremony.
On this wonderful day, I want the soldiers to raise their right hands up as they swear. I, Lieutenant General Bobo, do solemnly swear to fight and defend the sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia against all enemies, internal and external. God, being my helper, I will bear true faith and allegiance to the flag, the heroes who have gone to fight and defend the sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Amazonia against all enemies, internal and external. God, being my helper, I will bear true faith and allegiance to the flag, the heroes who have gone before me, that I will fight and obey the orders of the President of the Governing Council, the officers placed before me, according to the oath and the code of conduct of the Amazonia Defense Forces. God be my helper. God be my helper.
This is what baffles them. It's beyond what they've ever thought is possible. The money was contributed by the Ambazonian people. The money was donated by the Ambazonian people because they believe in the strategy, because they believe in the vision, because they believe in the roadmap, because they believe in the servant leadership of Dr. Ayaba, because they believe in his actions, because they believe in his transparent work. He's not interested in the empty politics that cannot liberate the people. We cannot do the same old politics that has kept the Ambazonian people under occupation since 1961 and expect freedom in 2021. We can't. There must be a change in psychology, a change in our approach, a change in our actions. And that is what Dr. Ayaba has provided to the Ambazonian people, has given the Ambazonian people a new generation with a new mindset, with a new commitment for the liberation of homeland, to end the suffering of our people, to end the pain of our people, to end the hopelessness that Cameroon has induced on our people. To provide the people with dignity. That's what the Ambazonia Defense Forces stands for. They have 3 mandates. Mandate number 1, protect the people. Mandate number 2, defend the communities. Mandate number 3, defend the sovereignty of Ambazonia. Those are the 3 mandates of Ambazonia Defense Forces. Those are the 3 mandates of Ambazonia Defense Forces. The land will be liberated. The Ambazonia Defense Forces will lead the charge, will continue to lead the charge for the liberation of Ambazonia, as General Ivo Mba predicted. That the independence, the liberation of Ambazonia will be delivered by Ambazonia Defense Forces. And Dr. Ayaba has made a solemn promise to the Ambazonian people to do just that. The lives of our people are at stake. Villages have been burned down. We have hundreds of thousands of our people living as refugees, not only in Nigeria, but spread all across the globe. We have about 750,000 women and children, and the elderly men, all without homes, living in the forest. 3 million people need humanitarian assistance. So why would Pa be surprised to see Ambazonian soldiers with high quality rifles, with good uniforms, with boots? They don't deserve it? Interesting mindset. But I think the most important question that was asked was the question on leadership. This was the real essence of that outing. The question of leadership. When Pa Ebini asked that question on leadership, Dr. Ayaba's response, if you watch his body language, he changed posture, became uncomfortable, became uneasy with the response he got. Anyone who studied non-verbal communication, you will know a lot went on the moment that question was asked and the responses he was getting. Dr. Ayaba laid out the whole process of the liberation, of leadership, as to who is leading, who is doing the work of the liberation, who carried the burden of the liberation, who is putting the guns on the ground, building forces, training forces, burying fighters that fell on the field, and taking care of the families of fallen heroes, the families and children of fallen heroes. Who's feeding forces? Forces that have faces, they have a name, they have an identity. That's why he's the leader. He's not the leader because of an entitlement to power. He's not the leader because he hijacked power from anybody. It's leadership that he earned his way into the hearts of the Ambazonian people through his hard work. Not because someone projected him as the leader. Not because a few people gathered and said, you are the leader. It's through hard work, consistency, and focused. It's through transparency and accountability, through vision, through execution, and the publications of the results of those efforts to the Ambazonian people as Ambazonian victories. He's been able to train the best generals in the whole history of the Ambazonian people. There's no other defense group that has been successful like the Ambazonian Defense Forces in terms of what General Ivo did on the ground. Until the same governments and their crooked, wicked agents conspired and kill Ivo. Ambazonia would have been liberated long ago. The speed with which General Ivo was operating at, Ambazonia would have been liberated. Between 2017 and almost towards the end of 2018, almost the entire southern zone, Manu was liberated. Fako was completely liberated. Meme was completely liberated. Fako was almost completely liberated. Ekema was almost captured. Coupé, le Bialem, until they took down Ivo. We lost grounds. Today, the Ambazonian Defense Forces is in the process to make entry into those places we have lost grounds. To put forces there, to put materials there, into those places. Into places like Manu, like Meme, like Coupé, like Ndian, like Fako. We've lost a lot of grounds. We will get there. So as the leader explained yesterday, in the most humbled way possible, is the president of Governing Council of Ambazonia and the commander-in-chief of Ambazonia Defense Forces. That is leading the liberation of Ambazonia. It's leadership that he has earned. With all the blackmail, with all the propaganda against him, with all the insults against him, he rose above all those things and had offered the Ambazonian people an inspired leadership. Leadership by actions. Leadership by example. The example of his own character. The example of his conviction. The example of his hard work. The example of his honesty to the Ambazonian people. Even when things are not going right, he communicates that to the Ambazonian people. And when things are going right, the victory is for the people. So the old assumption that you do the work, just sacrifice your life and be battered by La République du Cameroun, be battered by the internal enemies, and then when you are done, then we come and govern. The leader has made it clear. While it's a collective effort, the Governing Council and the Ambazonia Defense Forces would lead the charge to make sure our liberation is stable, our people are protected, while we focused on the liberation. The armed strategy is the only weapon of choice for the freedom and the independence of Ambazonia. Who leads the armed struggle? Who leads and commands the forces on the ground? He who leads the war effort, he who leads the liberation effort, is the leader of our war of independence. Others have had their chance. Bala had his chance when he was the president of the consortium. Ayokabe Patasan had his chance when he took the movement, the resistance to Nigeria. We supported him. When Bala was the president of the consortium, the entire population of Ambazonia rallied around Bala and supported the consortium as the leading movement. When Patasan took the liberation or the resistance to Nigeria, we all rallied around Patasan and supported the effort of Sessekou. Didn't we? We did. The evolution of leadership. When we moved to the governing council, from Sessekou to the governing council, and Ayoktabe Julius, Sessekou Ayoktabe Julius was made the chairman of the governing council. We all rallied around him and gave him our support as the leader. It is time for the Ambazonian people, including Past Sessekou Ebini, to abandon what Capo Daniel called Koni. It is time for all of us to abandon old politics and rally ourselves behind what works, what has delivered results, what has produced results, what has demonstrated consistently to have the greatest effect on Cameroon, while moves the Ambazonian people forward. The time to split our energy is over. We've experimented in the last 4 years. It has not taken us anywhere. Ambazonians have been moved from the left to the right. It has not taken us anywhere. We have a strategy that is producing unbelievable results on the ground, that has crumbled Cameroon, that has mobilized and inspired the international system to start believing in Ambazonia, to have confidence in the Ambazonian people, that we are a positive alternative, that we are the new empowering alternative, that the future, the peace, the security and stability of the Gulf of Guinea depends on what happens in Ambazonia. And that is up to us. Now we have a new leadership. It's time for us to rally around this leadership and give Dr. Ayaba the support he needs for our collective liberation. During this period, during this liberation period, as the leader said yesterday, the Ambazonia Defense Forces, as the leading force on the ground, with the muscle, we're talking about equipment muscle, personnel muscle, structural muscle, with the muscle to do the heavy lifting in dismantling Cameroon occupation, the Cameroon's occupation of Ambazonia, with the muscle to do to carry out the tactical operations to defend our people and project Ambazonia. It is time for us to rally around this leadership. Not the time for us to, as they said, pussyfoot. We can do it. It takes honesty to follow best practices. Things that are scientific, things that have been scientifically been tested and been proven, that have a consistency to produce the result we desired. The time of experiment is over. The time when agents provocateurs will sway Ambazonian left and right. That time is over. We must follow what works. A leadership that is based on inspiration and hard work, on mobilizing and unifying our people, bringing our people together, not dividing them. So during this period, as the leader said yesterday, the leader will lead this phase during the transition period, all other movements, all stakeholders, all key leaders, including activists, including our defense leadership, including community groups, including NGOs, with the political leadership and our experts, they will come together to decide the structure of the transition authority and start working on the mechanisms of governance. For now, the defense of homeland is our priority. The protection of our people is our priority. The defense of our communities is our priority. To end Cameroon occupation through armed resistance is our priority. To dismantle Cameroon institutions of colonialism and occupation is our priority. That should be the focus for every single Ambazonian, not politics. The liberation is our focus. Taking care of the prisoners, those things should be our focus. Ensuring the safety of our children should be our focus. To make sure that in the liberated territories, maybe we can start to think about how to increase parameter within the liberated territory so that we can bring some of our refugees back home. That should be our focus. So yesterday's conversation was an eye-opener for a lot of Ambazonians. For a lot of Ambazonians. So we understand. So why sometimes people want to speak these things? They don't know that they are revealing their embedded assumptions. They are exposing their beliefs and their hidden intentions. Or as my brother and friend called Capo Daniel calls it, they are conny. They expose na they are conny. Ma talking for pigeons more. Now they are conny, they expose them. A lot of hidden intentions were exposed yesterday. There was a lot of clarity though. So it was good. It was a great interaction. And I encourage other Ambazonians, it will be very interesting for someone like maybe, Samuel Sessekou to say, hey, Dr. Ayaba, I want to face you. I want to come on your program and have this kind of discussion with you. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice for someone like Sessekou Samuel to say, hey, Dr. Ayaba, I want to come on ACN and face you on your program called Face the Leader. I've heard that you're the leader of our war of independence, so I want to come and face you. Wouldn't that be nice? That would be a very dramatic day. Wouldn't that be nice for Chris Anu to, having watched this, to say, hey, Dr. Ayaba, I have heard that you have a program called Face the Leader. I want to come and face you. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice for someone like Chris Anu? Wouldn't that be nice for activists that have given up people like Mark Barretta to say, hey, Dr. Ayaba, I used to be a journalist. I've heard you have a program called Face the Leader. I'm interested. Wouldn't that be nice? It would really be nice if someone like Eric Kato rights and said, hey, as the most dramatic and controversial activist, as the most questionable character within this generation, I would like to interact with Dr. Ayaba on his program. That will be a day full of insanity and drama. Wouldn't it? It will be really nice. Who else? What about Don Pasho? Wouldn't it be nice for someone like Don Pasho to say, hey, Dr. Ayaba, I have a program called The Hot Seat. And I've heard you have a program called Face the Leader. Is it okay I interview you on some of the most controversial things about our war of liberation? It will be really nice. Wouldn't that be nice? All right. So no matter how toxic and tense the atmosphere can be, sometimes we need a little bit of a break. We need a little bit of time of these dramatic moments where people can actually laugh about all this insanity. All right? To diffuse this energy and just let them go, because people are so tense about all these things. People are so tense that, their reasoning faculties have been locked up. People can't think anymore. So sometimes we need to loosen up. We need to laugh. We need to relax. We need to take all these things that are happening and turn them into humor. Sometimes we need to be comedians while we inspire and educate. Because having these conversations lessen the tensions and bring more positive energy. So that conversation yesterday was quite great. It was great because it offers a lot of clarity to the Ambazonian people. It was a test on the leader's ability to lead. It was a test on the leader to prove his worthiness of leadership and his credibility. So, here's my opinion. My conclusion on this. It was a positive event. It was quite positive for the Ambazonian people. It has remarkable learnings. A lot of things Ambazonian have to watch that program over and over again. There's a lot of things you're going to pick up. There's a lot of things you're going to learn. It was quite revealing. But it was quite refreshing, to see that type of interaction. This is the evolution of our society. This is the evolution of our liberation. It's almost like a cleansing process. And it would be nice to have those people that I've mentioned. It would be quite nice. All right? Are you on ground zero? Do you have questions for the leader? Do you have old assumptions? Things that you've been manipulated, misguided, and maybe you want to confess? Are you a soldier on the ground that has been manipulated? And now you have clarity? And you want to talk about it? Without so much revealing, your identity and security? Are you someone who used to be a federalist? Are you someone who used to be in the colonial state? And you've seen the damages and destruction on the Ambazonian people? And you've been inspired that by the bravery, the boldness of the Ambazonian people. And you want to lend your support? What has really touched you these last 4 years? What has moved your spirit, your soul? Was it an event? Was it because a child was murdered? Or a pregnant woman was slaughtered by the occupation forces. And it changed who you are. What has really touched you? What drives you? What are you motivated by? What is it that you wake up every day looking forward to? What inspires you? What is it? What moves you? What do you believe? Because that was a question the leader asked Parkris Ebini yesterday. Do you believe Ambazonia is going to be free? It took him a moment, but he said yes. There was a little bit of a silence, a pause to contemplate what his response should be. Then he said yes. And then he went further to explain that when he saw the new generation that rose up to defend themselves, he's convinced Ambazonia is going to be free. It was also very generous of him when Dr. Ayaba asked him the question about the projects or the need for 4 new MGs. And one is $9,500 or $9,600. And if he's willing to lead one of those his public campaigns to help to raise money for one, he didn't answer that question. But here's what he said. Ebini volunteered that he used to pay his what they call citizens levy, a monthly contribution of $100 that he makes into the liberation. That money was given to another organization. So he stopped doing that in 2020. But he said, for 2021, for the 12 months that makes up the year, he's going to donate that $100 to the Ambazonia Defense Forces. And so he also, by doing that, he encouraged other Ambazonians to do the same. But the question, whether he's going to help to raise money for 4 small machine guns that are needed, maybe just to raise money for one, which is now $9,500. That question wasn't answered. All right. So, in all, we gave Pa Sessekou Ebini an applause. We want to thank him for the idea, for the thoughtfulness, because as he explained that his intention is, by having the conversation, will help to inspire other Ambazonians that have doubts about the leadership of Dr. Ayaba, and maybe they can loosen up a little bit so that we can expand the pool of donors for the liberation. So that's quite positive. All right. So that intention, we have to praise that. We have to encourage that. Also, you all know we have a responsibility to the Ambazonian people and to ourselves to make sure that the hidden political agenda does not override the people's aspiration for a liberated and free Ambazonia. That's why I'm also having this conversation with you all. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. As promised, every single day here on YouTube, we'll be having a discussion on one topic. Something will always happen. That on a single daily basis, as I promised, for 2 months straight, I'll be delivering fresh content. And only here you can have such conversation. So for all our people on Ground Zero watching through the ACN TV, I'm talking for Pidgin, for all our big mommy them, all our big papa them, where they don't join me for this evening for Watch With We, for ACN TV, one thing I want to say, we'll be very proud of now. As for Ground Zero today, it's been a big day. If been a country Sunday, we want salute all our business people them, all our buy and sell and them, all the people the people there that they still get work with the colonial state, where they work for places like they provide water, they provide electricity, they work for hospital them, all the essential services where they keep communities then still running. We know say on days like this, country Sunday, when they take the day off for observe the Independent Day goes down, for show the collective resistance, for show the collective defiance. And because of that, one time when I say we'll be very proud of now. We'll be very thankful for this for the commitment. We also want to thank all our soldiers them. All our soldiers them for the 13 states. All the defense groups that they fight for ground. We want to thank una for our sacrifices, for our commitment, for our bravery, for protect the Ambazonian people, for liberate the land, and for defend the sovereignty of Ambazonia. We want to thank una plenty. And they work this for this generation. Every people them, for every generation, God they always give people them a mission for the generation. The mission for this generation, as the leader don't explain it for we, as General Ivo don't explain it for we, as General F and don't explain it for we, as Lieutenant General Popo don't explain it. The mission for this generation, now for end Cameroon occupation, for end Cameroon colonialism, for end Cameroon their brutality on our people, now for liberate the land. This generation will work. Now for make sure say our people, they become free. We get the possibility for doing for a very short period of time. We get that possibility. We feel doing for a short period of time. Today, I put something on my Facebook. Talk say, we got to be aggressive for the defense of our people then. We must protect our people then. When I don't hear what it don't happen for mile 90 for Bamenda Bali Road. For 5 Ambazonia, they would go kill them for Sunday night. When I don't hear those ones. This generation will work. Whether it be papa, mommy, or Pekin, will work collectively. Now for end the suffer where our people that they suffer. For move that bad juju where Cameroon can plant for our land, where they call and say occupation. For move that witchcraft where La Republican plant for our land say colonialism, say occupation. Now witchcraft. We must move them. We must end them. Now the responsibility for any man and woman for make sure say what people they live a life where they get the right to life. Picking they get the right to happiness and play. Picking the fee play for quarter. Mommy the fee go for better hospital. What big mommy the fee be taken care of. What big papa the fee be taken care of. What people the fee get better clean water for drink. Better school than for picking for go. Better house than for our people for living. The opportunity for all boys and girls for use their sense, for use their heart, for use their hard work, for create better life for themselves, for their picking them, and for their families. We owe them for our people them. This generation feed one. So if we build the stabilization forces, the first one for only 3 months. 3 months for buy materials, 3 months for raise money, 3 months for train the forces, 3 months for commission the forces. If we feed one, no other thing no they will not feed one as a people. So make we commit. Make we commit. This Saturday where they come. When a Saturday, February the 24th, for the number of 24 day for this for this April. Now April 2021, number 24 day. It go be now a fundraising where the governing council of Ambazonia, the organizer, for make the stabilization force phase 2, make it big. They want expand the forces them, for put them for very strategic place, for put them for the places where we need those forces for be there, for start for help them, make the scatter Cameroon occupation for Ambazonia. That process of scatterization, for end Cameroon occupation, for start for capture towns, and give for the Ambazonian people them. For start for destroy all the Cameroon B camp and army camp. We need for put those forces. That's why this Saturday, all they come together as a people for raise more money, contribute more money, for expand the stabilization force, for the critical and strategic place them who need them. So I want to appeal for all man that the time this for we, for come together as a people, for expand those forces, for project Ambazonia, for the way the international community, they expect we for do them, for gain recognition. Cameroon don't collapse for ground, but we get for knock them off. Now the thing I remain for the critical places. They don't get anything anymore for Ambazonia. So we look forward for all winner on Saturday. All when I get my phone number, when I contact me, you fit donate in advance. No matter place where you dey, we fit tell you how you fit make your contribution so that they go reach for the Central Treasury of Governing Council of Ambazonia, and they go send you your receipt and your letter of appreciation. We know say some people their letter of appreciation, some never receive them, but we know say the finance department and the people that they do those things, because sometimes those things they do over plenty. But we want to assure every person, say every person you go receive a receipt and a letter of appreciation. All right. So again, I want to thank when I say when I don't take the time for joining me for today. Again, I want to thank una for una commitment. But above all, I want thanks Sessekou, Shea, Dr. Christmas Ebini for interaction with the leader. I want let Pa make you know say this conversation with the getter. Not be for criticize you, but for we, this generation, because of social media and because of the way the society they now, we got to do two things. We go praise you and we go also expose the small corner with the inside. Okay, Pa? So no vex. Make you know so we love you. Even if now the leader of a war of independence, we go so talk am. All right? Any person, whether now who you be, una be used to na the generation this. We no go be na another La Republic of Cameroon. We will not go be in a generation of hand clappers. If you want to receive hand clapping, do the right thing. Act right. If you want me to praise you, do the right thing. We praise our forces because they do the right thing. And the way they also do the thing we not fine. When I know say we too they criticize them. That's what they. Because now the society one build a society of fairness, accountability. When I the year, so make all man take and like say, oh, PS Aso, why you go talk about Papa Christmas Ebini way? He don't come so for come meet up Dr. Ayaba made the story. Yes, the story fine, but after the story, more I know say we today we exist. We must do our own work. We must praise and then we do the analysis too. For all the other small things, all the things we define and all the other things and way if it be just be so, if our job are fine, right? Now all these things they make we move forward. The things we want to see, the reason we want to see La Republic, as Donald Trump called and said, a shithole country. Now because they need to do these things. They need to do these kind of things for their leaders, their president, their governors. They need to do them. Not in a society where you feel shit on. You do constructive critique. You know they. So we're going now for make sure say we improve leadership. We hold leadership publicly accountable, including me. Okay? People that they write me all kinds of things, I tell them say, okay, thank you. You don't tell me this one, all right? Would hear you. So including me, and not be an exception. Or we be under public scrutiny. Now part of what he take for serve the people that in public. So we thank you plenty. May God bless you. Now today on Monday, at the beginning of the new week, any plans you get on, we pray for you and we want to make those things work Una go out there tomorrow now, the beginning of work day for Ambazonia. Una go out there tomorrow. Una hustle hard. Una work hard. Una give as much as possible. Una stay safe and una make sure say una protect ourselves. Until then, we'll talk again tomorrow. For now, for people them for Ground Zero, una get a beautiful night. Una get a good night for all our picking them. We love una plenty. For all mommy and papa them, una take good care of ourselves and una take good care of each other. So brothers and sisters, una take good care of ourselves and una take good care of each other. We wanna make sure say that they talk for the big book. Una be each other's keeper. We go through very difficult times. Yeah, during this period, at the times in this way, during this period, it make all we will develop more love for one another, more respect for one another. All right? All right? We'll look out for each other. Be each other's keeper. May God bless una. We'll talk on tomorrow. Una good night. Bye for now. All right, I'm done. Thanks. All right.